I gave my house keys to a homeless woman with a baby in the rain. You heard that right. A complete stranger. And the worst part, or maybe the best part, I did it 5 seconds after meeting her. It wasn't just any house. It was my three-bedroom apartment in the Jardines district, one I had just finished renovating. I just poured 180,000 reais into the place, and I handed it all over to a stranger while I was running to catch a flight. I had exactly 30 minutes to get to the airport for the most important flight of my career, a meeting I had spent 8 months preparing for. And still, I stopped. I gave her my keys. What happened when I came back 5 days later will shock you. It all started on a Thursday, one of those days you wake up knowing it's going to be heavy. I had a presentation in Brasilia that would decide whether I'd be promoted to regional director or stay stuck in the same position for another 3 years. My name is Carolina. I'm 32, single, a self-proclaimed workaholic. I've lived alone ever since my parents died in an accident 3 years ago. I inherited a decent amount of money and invested every cent of it into my apartment. It was my refuge, my sanctuary. That morning, my alarm didn't go off. I woke up in a panic at 7:40 a.m. My flight was at 9:30 from Guarulhos Airport. Anyone who lives in São Paulo knows it's impossible to get there in under an hour and a half. But I had to try. I leaped out of bed, took the fastest shower of my life, and threw on the first business suit I could find. No coffee. I grabbed my pre-packed suitcase and ran downstairs. The taxi was already waiting. Guarulhos, please. It's urgent. 20 minutes later, a flat tire on the marginal Tietê highway. The driver was sweating bullets. Ma'am, it's going to take at least 15 minutes to change this. I almost cried. I flagged down another taxi right there on the side of the road, leaving the first driver with the full fare. There was no time to be frugal. The second taxi driver was one of those guys who thinks he's a Formula One racer. Normally, I'd be terrified, but on that day, I was praying he'd go faster. Then the rain started, out of nowhere. One of those Sao Paulo storms that appears in 5 minutes and floods everything. Ma'am, we better cut through the mall. The highway is going to lock up with this rain. I agreed. He dropped me at the entrance of Shopping Center Norte, so I could run through it and catch another cab on the other side. It was faster. I paid and bolted, dragging my suitcase behind me. And that's when I saw her. At the entrance to the mall, trying to shelter from the downpour under a tiny awning, a young woman, maybe 25, holding a baby wrapped in a tattered blanket. They were both soaked, shivering. I tried to walk past her, I swear I did, but then the baby coughed. A hoarse, ugly cough, the kind you know isn't right. My feet stopped on their own. I glanced at my watch. 8:50 a.m. 40 minutes until my flight. I looked at her. I looked at my watch. Damn it. Are you okay? A stupid question, I know. She lifted her eyes to me. They were green, beautiful, but empty. We got evicted yesterday. The shelter is full. I'm just waiting for the rain to stop. The baby coughed again. My heart clenched. I opened my wallet to give her some money. She shook her head. I don't want a handout, ma'am. I'm not a beggar. I'm just in a bad spot. Pride. I recognized it because I have the same kind. The kind that screws up your life, but you can't let it go. I looked at my watch. 8:52 a.m. And then I did the craziest thing of my life. I pulled my apartment keys out of my purse. Rua Augusta, 1320, apartment 102. There's food, clothes, a warm bed. Stay there until I get back. She looked at me like I was from another planet. Ma'am, you don't know me. I know, but that baby needs to get out of the rain. Now, I'll be back in 5 days. The doorman's name is Carlos. Tell him you're my cousin Anna from out of town. He won't ask any questions. I forced the keys into her hand. I scribbled my number on a damp piece of paper. Basarn papers. Call me if you need anything. There's medicine in the bathroom cabinet. I ran off before she could give them back, before I could think about what I had just done. In the taxi to the airport, it hit me, the reality of it. I had just given the keys to my apartment with its 65-inch TV, my laptop, my mother's jewelry, the cash in the safe, to a complete stranger, with a baby who might not even be hers. I got to the airport at 9:28, 2 minutes to spare. The woman at the check-in counter took pity on me. Run! Gate 15! I ran like never before. I boarded the plane, sweating, shaking, my heart about to explode. But it wasn't from the running. It was from what I had done. During the flight, I couldn't think about the presentation. All I could think about was her. Did she go to the apartment? Was she a con artist? Was I going to come home to an empty shell? The moment we landed in Brasilia, I called Carlos. Hello, Carlos? Did my cousin Anna arrive? She did, Donna Carolina. Poor thing. She was soaking wet. The baby was coughing so badly. I sent them right up. Relief. At least she went. But now what? Was she stealing everything I owned? Carlos, could you do me a favor? Go up there later, make up an excuse, and just tell me if everything looks okay? Of course, Donna Carolina. At the hotel, I tried to focus on my presentation. It was impossible. My phone rang. Unknown number. It was her. Her name was Marina. Ma'am, I don't know how to thank you. Lucas stopped coughing after a warm bath. He's asleep for the first time in 2 days. Lucas, Marina. Now they had names. That's good, Marina. Just relax. There's food in the freezer. You just have to heat it up. I saw. Ma'am, why are you doing this? Good question. Why was I? Just stay there. We'll talk later. The presentation the next day was a complete disaster. I messed up the numbers, forgot slides, stammered. My boss pulled me aside afterward. Carolina, what happened? You worked on this for months. How could I possibly explain? I'm sorry, sir. Personal problems. That night, Marina sent me a picture. It was Lucas sleeping in my guest bed, clean and dressed in a little pajama set she'd found in the closet. It belonged to a nephew who had visited last year. The text read, "He hasn't slept like this in weeks. Thank you." My heart melted. Day 2, Carlos called me. Donna Carolina, your cousin is quite the homemaker. She's cleaned the whole apartment. It's sparkling. And she cooked something that smelled so good, it reached all the way down to the front desk. She even offered me a plate. Cleaned? But why? I called Marina. You don't have to clean anything. Yes, I do. It's the least I can do. You saved us. I used to be a cleaner before Lucas was born. I know how to make a place shine. Day 3. Marina sent more pictures. She hadn't just cleaned. She'd organized. My closet, which had been a chaotic mess, was now arranged by color. The kitchen was unrecognizable. It was so tidy. I found some old photo albums just lying around. Can I organize them? The albums. Photos of my parents. I had put them away after they died because it hurt too much to look. You can do whatever you want, I texted back. It was a lie. I didn't want her to touch them, but I couldn't bring myself to do it either. I had been running from those memories for 3 years. Day 4. The follow-up meeting was canceled. I could have flown home, but I stayed. Why? Fear. Fear of what I would find. Fear that she would be gone. Fear that she would still be there. Fear of not knowing what to do in either case. Marina didn't text on the 4th day. Not on the 5th morning either. Paranoia set in. Did she run? Did she take everything? Carlos wasn't answering his phone. It was Sunday, his day off. I decided to go home. I caught the 2 p.m. flight, landing in São Paulo at 5. My heart hammered against my ribs the entire taxi ride. I went up in the elevator. The hallway was empty, silent. I put the key in the lock. I took a deep breath. I opened the door. The first thing that hit me was the smell. Lavender and food. Real, home-cooked food. I stepped inside. I didn't recognize my own apartment. It was impeccable. Cleaner than the day I moved in. The furniture was polished. My half-dead houseplants were vibrant and alive. There were fresh flowers on the table. The curtains had been washed. The rugs vacuumed. It was surreal. I walked into the kitchen. A full meal was waiting on the stove. Rice, beans, roasted chicken. There was salad in the fridge. And dessert. A carrot cake. My favorite. How did she know? There was a note on the counter, in neat handwriting. Donna Carolina, I've made you food for the week. It's all in the freezer. Labeled. The cake is my grandmother's recipe. I saw a picture of you as a child with a similar cake and thought you might like it. I organized the photos in the blue album. The blue album was on the coffee table. I opened it slowly. The photos of my parents, arranged chronologically, with delicate captions written underneath. Family at Christmas, Carol's 15th birthday, graduation, the last New Year's Eve together. I started to cry. I cried in a way I hadn't in 3 years. I sat on the sofa, clutching the album. That's when I heard it, a baby crying. It was coming from the guest room. I shot up and ran to the door. I opened it. Marina was sitting on the bed, holding Lucas. They were both crying. Marina? She jumped, startled. Donna Carolina, I'm so sorry. We're leaving right now. Just let me grab our things. I was going to be gone before you got here, but Lucas got a fever, and... She was panicking. Marina, calm down. Breathe. I sat on the bed next to her. Lucas was flushed, hot to the touch. He has a fever? Since yesterday. I gave him medicine, but it's not really helping. I was going to go to the clinic, but we're going to the hospital now. At the hospital, we learned it was just a virus, common in babies. Medication and rest were all he needed. Marina cried with relief. In the taxi on the way back, she held my hand. Thank you for everything. We'll be gone tomorrow, I promise. Gone where? I asked. I'll try the shelter again. Marina, Lucas is sick. I know, but stay, at least until he's better. It was another lie. I didn't want them to leave. For the first time in 3 years, my house felt alive. When we got home, I put Lucas down in the makeshift crib Marina had built with pillows and blankets. It was creative. Safe. We went to the kitchen. She heated up the food, and we ate in silence. Then she spoke. My boyfriend disappeared when I told him I was pregnant. I lost my cleaning job because I started to show. I was staying with a friend, but she got married. Her husband didn't want us there, so we got evicted. I was going to go back to my parents in the countryside. Why didn't you? Pride. They warned me São Paulo would chew me up and spit me out. I can't go back like this. A failure. With a child and no father. I'd rather try to make it on my own here. I understood. Pride. The same pride that had stopped me from asking for help when my parents died. You're not a failure, Marina. Look what you did with my apartment in 5 days. It looks better than when I moved in. She gave a small, weak smile. I like taking care of a home. It's what I do well. I looked at her. Young, beautiful, despite the exhaustion. A fighter. A proud, dedicated mother. Marina, what if you stayed, not as a favor, but as, I don't know, a partnership? You take care of the house, and I can help you with Lucas. We can split the expenses. Ma'am, I am not your maid. There was that pride again. You wouldn't be a maid. You'd be family? I didn't know what to call it. All I know is that this house has been dead for 3 years. You brought life back into it, and I can help you get back on your feet. You could study, get a new job. We can help each other. Marina started to cry. Why would you do that for me? Why would I? Because she organized my parents' photos? Because she baked me a carrot cake? Because she didn't steal anything? Because sometimes you recognize family in a stranger. She accepted. Temporarily, she said, until I can stand on my own 2 feet. That was 2 years ago. Marina graduated from nursing school. She works at the Hospital das Clínicas now. Lucas calls me Auntie Carol. His first words, his first steps, they all happened here. The apartment is never silent anymore. It's filled with a child's laughter, with conversations, with life. Marina is dating a resident from the hospital, a good man. He wants to marry her. She's going to say yes. They're moving into the apartment next door. I've already rented it for them. And the promotion? I got a better one a year later. My boss said I had changed. I was more human, he said. More of a leader, less of a machine. It was Marina. It was Lucas. It was learning that success without family to share it with isn't success at all. Sometimes I think back to that moment. 8:52 in the morning. The rain, the rush. A 3-second decision that changed 3 lives. What if I had walked past? What if I had ignored them? What if I had been rational? But I wasn't. And I discovered that the best moments in life come from the irrational decisions, the ones the heart makes before the brain can process, the ones that look like madness, but are really just pure humanity. Marina started an NGO. It helps single mothers get back on their feet. 40 women have already found jobs through her program. I'm the project's godmother, investor, advisor, family. Because you aren't just born into a family, you choose it too. The Blue album has new photos now. Marina in her graduation cap. Lucas at his first birthday party. The 3 of us at Christmas. Her fiancé. The family keeps growing. Because when you open the door to love, it comes in and brings more love with it. So, that's it. I gave my apartment keys to a homeless woman in the rain, And in return, I got a family. It wasn't a robbery. It was the best investment of my life. Because some keys don't just open doors, they open futures.